There we go.
There we go. We're live. Hey,
Now,
Everybody's been waiting.
I
That's
know,
why I'm like,
I know.
go live.
But they're
breathless
not waiting.
anticipation.
I'm looking at the counter. Nobody's waiting.
There's nobody here.
No,
It's
no,
one of the-
people are
one of the
waiting
fears.
for it
One of the
to actually
fears.
connect.
They'll be here in a second. Anyways, hey, I'm John Paduchak with JohnPaduchak.com. And of course, I got Dr. V with me today. And-
Yes, Dr. Vogelman of Maximize Your Media and drvogelman.com.
And Troy McDonald.
Of liveeventmarketers.com, or on
There you
Facebook, it is just Live Event Marketers.
Yeah. So I was prompted for today's discussion. So
What are we discussing?
I'm glad you asked. Today we're going to talk about the 4 fears that people have getting started with live streaming video.
Wait.
Which I thought we're going to talk about that today.
We.
So the reason I chose that topic today is because I'm getting warmed up. I got a presentation coming up on Tuesday where this is going to be one of the things that I talk about. But I had a young fellow here in the local Boston area who reached out to me. He runs a shared office space and an incubator for local businesses in the Boston area. And he found me on LinkedIn. So he's doing some cold outreach from LinkedIn. And he said, hey, I see based on your profile here that you are really good with webinars. He called me the webinar guru. I don't like the word guru. What do you guys feel about the word guru?
Oh my God. I can't wait to kiss your feet.
So anyways, we got chatting and I said, webinars are a great way to reach out. But right now with everything going on and everybody trapped at home, live video is a much better outreach strategy. And so we started talking about that. And of course, one thing leads to another. And I got a presentation on Tuesday. So I thought this would be kind of a fun prelude to that.
Yep.
And we could talk about some of the things I'm going to talk about with them. How's that sound?
So you're rehearsing with us?
Kind of.
Okay, that's fine.
We're the guinea pigs.
You're kind of the guinea pigs for my presentation on Tuesday. Sort of.
Here's what you say, John.
Okay, go ahead. I'm ready.
No, I just like. So did you had 4 fears, but I sometimes think of more than 4. But what are your top 4?
What do you think of? Let me ask you what you think of first.
Well, because one of the ones you just said was fear of not knowing what to say. Like you're going to run out of things to say.
Right.
And most of us have a wealth of experience within our particular domain of expertise, but also most of us live a daily life where things happen to us that we can talk about. So there's always an opportunity for storytelling.
Right. So Angela got me thinking about that today. And I think there's more to that because the other side of it, there's so much to say if you really think about it. You've got a wide
some people
variety.
are going to wonder who in the heck Angela is.
Angela Langlots with a V in the middle. V for video.
IP attorney that I've known of Angela for a long time, but she's
Really?
in the Live Event Marketers group.
Okay.
Yeah, she my friend Scott Scioli is another IP attorney, and I've kind of learned about Angela along the way through Scott. But it was interesting she brought that up today, and I said, there's 3 other fears that go along with that, but the one most common one I think is I'm going to run out of stuff to say. I don't know what I'm going to talk about, so I figure we can run that around. But the other 3 that usually run through my mind is what equipment am I going to use to get started, and I try to keep that very simple.
So that's the technology fear.
There's actually 2 separate fears.
Wow.
One's equipment,
and
the second is technology.
Well, how is technology not part of or how is equipment not part of technology?
I'm glad you asked. I actually separate the 2 because I think of them separately because the equipment in my mind is the camera, the lighting, the basic things that you kind of need to do video. And then the technology I look at is things like StreamYard, BeLive, Zoom that are kind of separate technologies above and beyond equipment. So
you're thinking hardware, software as a subset of technology.
Kind of, yeah. That's kind of the way that I look at it.
All right.
And then does that make sense?
Yeah. I can understand that. I just think you're trying to multiply the fears, but that's okay.
That's fine. Maybe.
You'll have more to talk about that way next week.
Yeah. And then the third, so Yeah. So equipment, technology,
Technology.
not running out of things to say,
Yeah.
and then showing up on camera. Like I'm concerned about how I'm going to look to others. And we've talked about that before in showing slides, making your picture smaller, but do show up and slowly work your way up to showing up full face, head on, facing everything kind of head on. But what were you thinking as the
I was thinking part of that is, we've talked about this before, which is like I've always had the fear or just didn't like the sound of my own voice. And so the idea is you don't like the way that you look on camera, but also you may not like the way that you actually sound. And that may be something that people are a little concerned with. I mean, when you talked earlier about running out of things to say, I think that may in part be a function of the imposter syndrome, where you don't feel that you have the expertise.
It could be. And it's funny, it's even people who we've known who are superior experts in their field. I mean, really heads and above a lot of folks. That's still a huge fear for them.
Mm-hmm.
So that's one that's a tough one. It's kind of like, how do you work your way through that? And the way that I tell people to work through it is either by working through showing slides where you're like a mini presenter, or going on and broadcasting with a friend, kind of like a workout buddy to kind of help you through that fear.
He has a quick aside on the slide business. What about using things like Prezi? Is that too distracting in a live video because it just kind of swirls around and enlarges? And is it too much?
I know.
I would say
Probably.
no.
Oh, it's not too much. Okay.
Yeah, and here's why I say that.
Yeah.
If you look, just take any show, put on the TV, they're always doing either camera changes or some of the change, and that's what that is. The reason behind that is just to keep people's attention,
right?
Because our brain's always looking for something new, even though it may be sort of some of the same thing. It's a change, and so your brain's going, wait a second, what do I need to reevaluate? It's so you're always trying to pull the people back in.
Yeah.
So that's why I think, as a matter of fact, even again, if you're just doing just straight slides, that's fine because something's better than nothing. But I hate when you get on those ones and they are like, it's one static slide, like for the whole, like a 20-minute segment of it. And then, but that's the reason why I think
I'm tempted to re-up my Prezi subscription that I used to have. But sometimes Prezi, when I was even creating them or watching them, it would make me a little queasy because it was a little too much motion, depending on how somebody had actually used the presentation software.
I agree.
I get a little,
whoa. I agree on that as well. Like, you don't want to have too much crazy, but enough that keeps things changing every now and then. I even think that my opinion is that even if you're going to do slides, to have more slides for even the same point. And so
you could do that. And you don't want to have death by PowerPoint because, if you put up 75 slides in a 30-minute thing, I mean, it might be too much, but maybe not. I mean, it depends on what your topic is. And if you can make one point more interesting or give it greater emphasis by maybe having 2 or 3 slides.
Right. I mean, I think it's, you can, how thin do you want to slice the topic really? But meaning that I think that in general, the fact of just having things that cause people to re-engage. So it's a different, it's a new slide.
I'm glad you said re-engage, because I think one fear is actually the fear of no engagement. Like, nobody likes it. Nobody gives you the loves or the hearts or anything like that. And there's just nobody there for you to talk to. Nobody's in the comment section. So that fear of lack of engagement would stop a lot of people. Actually, it did stop me for quite some time.
Well, that was one of. Sorry, I don't know if I cut you off. That's the one thing actually I was going to bring up. The fear, as one of the fears in a sense, is the bombing. So like, nobody there, nobody paying attention to my to my live stream.
Yeah, like there's just crickets. There's just crickets. I was like.
When the reality, like, we even invite people, into these live streams, but I think also there's that either part intimidation of like, well, what do I have to offer that they're not already going to say, or they haven't already said, or who am I, again, like say the imposter syndrome kind of feeling, who am I to offer any kind of thing? And the reality, like I always say, is that everybody has their own kind of viewpoint, or even if it is the same viewpoint, just another affirmation of agreement that, hey, this, that is a valid point, from the group, or just even the two people that are maybe together on a live stream.
Well, and you can have like that old point counterpoint, Jane, you ignorant slut, you beast. You can have a little controversy will create more engagement.
Yes. Controversy definitely can create engagement for sure.
And it doesn't have to get hostile, but you can have a difference of opinion. Like maybe that works for you, but it doesn't work for me. It's like, I like sandals, you like high heels, Troy or John.
I always work.
I like sandals. I call them flip-flops.
Flip-flops, flippity-flop. Yes.
Yeah. I usually talk about bombing in the getting your face out on camera, because I look at that as like the whole kind of picture. People not just have the fear of what they're going to look like and sound like on camera, but they have the fear of bombing or
what are people going to think if you just have the patented sheet behind you?
Well, that's the signature series.
Patented signature series.
That's the signature series. It's a little different.
So that's a good question, and I think
that's true.
Now it's so easy to get away with so much because people want you to show up authentically.
They want somebody walking behind you in their underwear drinking a beer. It's like it's like looking for crashes at the NASCAR races. You want to see something go wrong.
The truck fire, you can't stop watching. So there's a lot of that. Sure.
But the fear of embarrassment is a big one. Like you're going to be ridiculed, or you're going to be, totally embarrassed by screwing something up. And I don't know that. I think that's when you just have to sort of get over yourself and realize. I mean, I've often realized that I'm not all that important. And so a lot of times people aren't going to listen to me anyway. And so that kind of frees you up. Or if they do listen, they may not actually put anything into practice.
Right.
And that's a little disturbing, but that's sort of the reality in the whole internet marketing world. People sell courses all the time, and probably 80% of the people never take any action whatsoever.
Wow. Hey, you just brought something up. So the actual live stuff and the courses.
Yeah.
So let me talk about that, because I think I think it's a fear that people have is, okay, so if somebody's going to watch my thing, so maybe they won't necessarily watch it live, but a lot of traction really happens on the replay.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Even if you do have a lot of people on your original stream, a lot of people go back and will watch it. And then also there's in other words, as the replay, they want to get some more information, or I didn't get all that, what they were meaning by that point. And then also just the regular replay. So the biggest thing too, if you look at courses, is it's people always are in courses or groups, they're always trying to put out new information.
Right.
And while that is important, the other thing that you want to do is actually have your audience to take action on what you're teaching. So sometimes I think, I'm like in our situation, we do tend to, we tend to take about an hour that we're going to fill that. But I think the way live streams should be is almost even some of the live snippet forms where it's, maybe it's 10 minutes kind of tops, where you're teaching a particular principle, how to implement it, and what it means to them, and then be done, because you really do want people to implement things. And that's the reason why people do leave membership sites, is because it's more about they're just put into a mode of only learning, and not actual implementation. And
you become the perpetual student and you never take any action. Yeah. Believe me, I've been there, done that for sometimes I'd say at least 5-6 years. Yeah.
Right.
So it's interesting that you brought up, like, usually when we're broadcasting, you're worried about broadcasting into kind of like that empty audience. Mm-hmm. And I would say that if you look at like our audience, typically, right, we usually have anywhere from 20 to 30 people who kind of pass through while we're doing a broadcast. And then the vast majority of viewing comes after that time period. Mm-hmm. And then most of the people that I know that have started to broadcast regularly, it's usually 4 to 5 months of regular, almost daily or daily broadcasting before you really start to get a good audience that actually shows up, because they're used to seeing it.
Or at least weekly or twice a week. You don't have to do it daily.
Something consistent is what it is.
Consistency. Yeah. Commit to being consistent. Yeah.
Yeah. So even the time and the day. So if you're doing it like every Tuesday, and then at a particular time, because it's just like anything else. It allows people to schedule that out. And,
Yep.
there's the FOMO factor that fits in as well, the fear of missing out. So if people know, again, they may just occasionally watch you, but the simple fact is that if you were, say, on Tuesday at, 4 o'clock Eastern time,
Right.
Every Tuesday, and they're not necessarily attending, kind of in their mind, though, they know that you are on.
So and they would have the opportunity.
Yeah.
And they have the opportunity to ask questions while you're live and get immediate feedback. And who doesn't like instant gratification?
Everybody does.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
To a certain
In fact,
extent.
we kind of almost expect that with most things nowadays is instant gratification.
Instant coffee. Well, that's pretty bad. Actually,
So
European instant coffee is really good. Whoa, that was not an
So if
earthquake.
you guys are not coming in and asking your questions
You will not get your answers.
or commenting, yes, you will not be instantly gratified.
You will not be instantly gratified.
And you're
That
missing
is
out.
your fault.
Yes.
You'll be frustrated beyond belief
Forever.
forever and ever.
Yeah, because we're perfectly willing to answer your questions. You just need to show up and do the work.
Well, there are people. It's surprising though to see how many do really come, but they come back later in the comments after that replay. So it's
that's definitely acceptable, though. I mean,
yeah, which is fine. I mean, I think part of the things we had a hard time, John and I, nailing down a time. It was a hard time getting a time.
We still
Because
do.
we hit weekends we have no idea what's going on, but at least Monday through Friday we figured out it's at 5 o'clock. John is putting something in his coffee cup. We don't know what it is, and so he's ready because
Gin.
the work. What is it?
Gin.
Gin?
No, it's not gin.
Tequila. But he's ready to finish his work day. So, but Fridays I allow myself my adult beverage at 2 p.m. Pacific. But I drink a lot of water because I usually have another 3 or 4 hours of work to do after our Friday broadcast.
Friday's coming soon.
Well, pretty soon. When is Friday?
2 more days from now.
check with me tomorrow.
Wait,
Check with me. Yeah, it's not 2 more days, John.
tomorrow. Oh,
It's tomorrow.
oh my gosh.
He lost a day.
I did. This happens to me all the time. I lose days.
He's suffering from CTS, COVID-19 syndrome.
I think it's true. I think we all are.
So now that we're talking about the 4 fears, which
The
I think
fears,
we've touched on, not only those specifically, but even kind of subsets of those.
Yeah.
What are some? Let's talk a little more to what are
The cure.
some of the cures, to get through those.
Yeah. What?
And I think we have sort of mentioned them, but I think it's good at kind of refreshing us on what those are, or restating those again.
Let's start from the top.
I'm sorry.
We'll start from the top. So the number one is equipment.
Equipment
is the number one fear. Most people think they need more than they really need, when all they really need is their PC and a webcam. Or
actually, I'm just using the webcam that's in my MacBook today because sometimes I find the fancy schmancy camera that I have changes the color on me, or it gives some weird things, especially at nighttime. It makes it look like I've got Klieg lights outside. Turns me into a ghost. So sometimes simple is a lot better. In fact, even the phone, you can broadcast live with a phone and do extremely well.
I was always concerned about the sound. A lot of people think that they need extra microphone and all that. So we went to a concert recently. We went to see, I'm mentally going, okay, who do we go see?
It wasn't last week.
It'll come to me in a minute. It's one of our favorite bands from the.
It's in your pre-social distancing days.
Can't
your pre-stay-at-home life.
The point
you reminded me thinking about microphone.
Yeah.
Because every time I turn these on, it has a built-in one, and I just went and checked, and it switched over to that, which is like a crappy microphone compared to the internal computer microphone.
Yeah.
So glad thing you said that. I went and checked, and so I just switched my microphone to this. So now it should sound better.
It gets wacky sometimes because I'll have I use the earbuds. It switches over into that. But if I have the C920 camera on top, John has informed me, and I found it to be true, that the microphone contained within the camera actually is better than the resident mic within the MacBook.
It is very good.
Yeah.
So a point for that technology, I would say, is, again, do as I say, not as I do.
That's going to go over big.
Well, let's just put it this way. I do need to do it, but everybody else can do as they wish. But it is the checklist, basically. So that's the one thing that I always have in mind before we go live, because again, there's been times when I haven't used these, and I don't always really need to, but since the kids are sometimes being louder upstairs and whatnot, I tend to throw it on, because these are also noise canceling as well. So it's kind of like the combo. But yeah, so I switched over, just like I said, now to the microphone that's built in, because it's better than the microphone that is built in with this. So, but that should be on my checklist if I'm using the headset. Make sure that the mic is set appropriately and that kind of thing.
And we see that. We see that in StreamYard too, because it'll say, choose all these different little things.
Yeah, so that'd be a help of getting your fear over. Kind of the technology part is remembering what to do, because I think that's part of it. Like, oh, do I have it set right? Am I using it right? Well, if you know how it should be set, and then if you have a checklist, then you can set it, and that helps alleviate that fear.
Like a pilot, you get all the check. Oh.
So Martin Wales is visiting us today.
Martin. Is he in his new place in Toronto?
Martin says, "Hey, your website says Maggie Unzueta." Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Because my wife is the face of Maximize Your Media, because most of what we do actually are her Pinterest services.
And
we've had a little. If you look at the Flavicon at the top, it's my face.
The headphones are very slimming. Yes.
The headphones are slimming.
Can be, for sure.
Hey, Martin's got one of those really like professional headshot things in there, making me all embarrassed.
I know.
But
does he have the Troy McDonald signature sheet?
Well,
series.
The signature patented. Yeah, signature series patented sheet. Well, I don't know. I'd have to check in on live stream if he's got one going. But I mean, we've only shipped a few. So
what's that?
I mean, we've only shipped a few. I mean, they're all sold out. We've only shipped a few because we do everything by hand. It's like handcrafted, the whole everything.
I have heard that you're full of shipped.
Yes.
We shipped sheet.
Shipped sheets.
Where did you leave off?
There's no sheet we won't have shipped.
I know, Martin. I only have my $1 million bio.
The $1 million bio.
It's very nice.
Hey, so he moved. Actually, he came on with us while he was in the middle of moving, which was remarkable to me.
It was. I hope your move went well, Martin.
Hope you're moving and grooving. You're a mover and a shaker, not a candlestick maker.
No. So now
the other thing with technology, because I work with various different people, helping them with genealogy for my church. And so I work with a younger crowd and an older crowd. And what I tend to find with the younger crowd, again, they're like, hey, whatever, let's figure this out. Let's just get it done. Not a big deal. The older crowd actually fits into two different kinds of people. And that's the ones that are like, just kind of tell me what to do. So I would say, in essence, having a checklist to go through, so they don't mind doing it. Then there's the other ones that are like, I'm going to break something. It's going to be irreversible, that kind of thing. And I think the reinforcement that people need to have is really, you're not going to break anything. It's just a reality. You're not going to break anything. You might have to reset something to a different, to the original setting or something like that, but it's not going to be broken. So you can learn the technology. You can learn what the settings need to be. And it's just like anything else, how I kind of relate to. Usually I speak to a lot of, so for the older women that I work with, and we're talking about like retiree type age and stuff like that. So, right, however you feel you fit in there, but
45, 50.
Yeah, it's just like a recipe, 3 cups of flour. Okay, we can do that. Boom. Oh, like I only put in 2. Well, what do you need? 1 more. So, I need to adjust 1 more thing. So in other words, everything's really just like a recipe that you can do as far as using the technology.
And you don't have to overdo it when it comes to the fear of equipment. I mean, it's nice to have a ring light or some sort of a light source. John uses his regular lamps with, what are they, aluminum?
Yeah, I use regular mechanics clamp.
Regular mechanics, yeah, with what are they, 60-watt bulbs or something? Yeah. Or no, you have fancy little compact fluorescents in there.
Not too fancy.
No.
This one is a little fancier. This other one I have there.
Is it Paisley?
Yeah, that's about what I have.
Yeah, there you go.
It's a compact fluorescent that has a daylight. temperature and stuff.
I usually try to get Mother Nature. That's the advantage of having my spot right next to a window.
I have a window next to me too.
Yeah.
And then I try to keep like the daylight bulbs along the top of my desk as much as I can, and try to side light as much as I can. Yeah. With the screen, it's nice and reflective too, so that works out pretty good.
Well, that's another thing in terms of equipment. Your background, you can use the screen that John has. In fact, we both have the same screen, which I still find is hilarious.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I thought that was funny that day you both had it going.
Yeah, but we have yet to use the Troy McDonald Signature Series sheet.
I know.
Don't forget to say patented as well.
Patented. You should actually scrawl your signature straight across the entire sheet. I think that would be great.
He's loving the light show. But it's effective.
The light show.
Well,
it's not.
Well, just as John said as well, the whole thing for me started from, I'm like, hey, I'm just going to start going live. So I'm like, hey, I need something in the background because I have like it's more depth in back, and I've got some storage shelves back there, and I'm like, I just want to have a solid, heck, even though it's wrinkly. I didn't even take time to like iron it. I'm just like, let's get going. But that's my whole group was about live streams, right? So, business and marketing live streams. So I'm like, I can't not stream. And that's what I want to do. I want to go in the group and do an update. So I'm like, I got a computer, it's got a camera. And again, like Dr. V said, minimally, heck, if you've got a phone, you can stream.
You could do all of your live streams on your phone and you would be perfectly fine.
Yeah.
I mean, you might want to have a lavalier or earbud or something to get rid of the extraneous noise, but that's about it in terms of technology.
Yeah. If you could try to have a decent mic minimally, because the sound is really important when it comes to doing. That's why I said I didn't change it over from the.
Yeah, I've seen that actually too at the beach, where I would try to do a live at the beach here in Coronado, and the wind would be blowing across the mic. But if I used an earbud, it greatly reduced it. I haven't gotten one of those little fluffy covers that you would put on.
They're called dead cats.
Dead cats?
Yeah,
wow,
dead cat.
That's going to do really well with the feline lovers.
I'm just saying that's the name that they give it in the industry.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. Well, if you see even like the big boom microphones and they have those on there, and it's all it's all the little fur
as opposed
kind of
to
it's called a dead cat.
So Martin was saying, I love natural sunlight, but it ends up on one side, sunny, shadow on the other. Nope. Yeah, the other thing that always makes me is this, because I always end up with like sun coming through a skylight, making me look angelic or some crazy thing. So,
well, Martin, what you can do is use another. Again, this is probably obvious to him. Another light on the other side to fill, or minimally, if you can get even a white poster board, heck, at the dollar store, and you have it on the other side, so you'll get some of that light bouncing off onto the other side. It may not be. Depending on the distance it has to go, and again, the actual thing you're trying to reflect off of will at least
get a ring light for $24 for a ring light.
I'm just saying, like, heck, for even $1, you could get a white poster board.
So then the last thing for me on technology is that most people, unfortunately, they tend to wing things in that practice and work their way through. Like you saw when we started testing out StreamYard, BeLive, we were just running through all of them day after day, kind of trying to figure out all the odds and ends, where to broadcast to, and all of that. And that was one of the reasons that I started the 30-day live challenge, was to give people a group that they could practice and broadcast into, because trying to broadcast yourself creates a whole new set of problems, and that you forget to take it off, and then you're not broadcasting live the rest of the world. I mean,
broadcasting from your bathroom by accident.
Yeah, it creates a whole bunch of other crazy things. So those are two big ones with me, to make sure you practice and go through things regularly.
And just find a platform with which you develop a degree of comfort. And I think now, even just utilizing the Facebook native app and Creator Studio, you could start with that, because there's zero cost. There are free accounts available on StreamYard and BeLive and Restream and all the others. So you don't have to go premium from the get-go. You can be a little more conservative in your budget and spring for those later.
If you're going to practice with a buddy, though, the regular Facebook app doesn't work so good.
Well, except the live with, or the Be With, or whatever it is supposedly coming back.
BeLive.
No, I meant within. It was live with, I think it's
within Facebook. Yeah,
we tried to do that for quite some time, like over and over again.
Yeah, well, it disappeared in November, and the powers that be who are tuned in to Facebook, they say it's back, but I couldn't find the button. So.
Yeah, my son said today too that Google Meet is coming to kind of compete with Zoom.
Actually,
I heard.
Well, okay, so here's the post that I saw on it, that they are opening up free, because it's normally a part of G Suite, so in other words paid,
right?
But they're allowing it to be free until I think it was September 30th or something like that.
Yeah.
So they're going to open it up for a while to be used as free, so you don't have to be a G Suite.
Give them a taste. Plan. Give them a taste and get them hooked onto your brownies, and then you're going to charge.
Good time to do that, because right now Zoom is kind of crushing under the pressure.
Yeah. Well, I mean, so in terms of those fears, so I think we pretty much took care of the technology / equipment. I think then when you start getting into the mindset of the fear of embarrassment or the fear of nobody showing up.
Yep.
Or, there's crickets, or if people do show up, nobody. So I would actually separate that from fear of no engagement and fear of just crickets. Because if nobody ever shows up and you just see that number is 0 constantly on your screen, you're like, why am I even doing this? So there's your crickets. But if you see a lot of people coming in, let's say 10, 20, whatever, and nobody's making a comment and nobody answers you, I think that fear of a lack of engagement is something that might discourage some people, but you just have to be persistent.
Got to be persistent. It takes a while to get people to engage with you. Thank you, Martin. We appreciate you engaging with us today.
Yes, Martin's doing a bang-up job.
Yes, but that's true. I mean, this is what kind of happens. You'll have a couple people pop in and engage and chat with you about stuff. And there's two sides to the fear coin. There's your fear. So it's kind of like you have to just work through the fear, feel the fear, and do it anyway.
Yeah,
you just have to do it.
But then there's the fear of people engaging with you and how you encourage them to engage.
And you got to remember, they have a little fear because they don't at first know how to engage with you. They don't really quite know you so well yet. So they're not quite sure where to jump in and say something or what to ask, or, what your talents and expertise are. And so like us, they're kind of sitting back watching you. Well, you're watching them. It's kind of that back and forth thing,
Well, and even if they do know you, and they can know you actually quite well, it's the fear of knowing other people are watching, and how are they going to come across?
There's that, and then there's there is a technology fear of people trying to engage with you, because I've had two people, both of them named Michelle. One is my friend down in Texas, and the other is my sister. And we got my sister to push the buttons and come into StreamYard was that the 30-day live video challenge group?
Or was it? No.
Or something else.
I'm trying to remember. Yeah, because she was walking her dog that time.
She was walking the dog, but she came in. But I've had another friend who sent me private messages saying, I'm sorry, I'm not really good at technology. I didn't know how to click the link to come in and speak to you in the group.
Yep.
And so there's an education, there's a little bit of a learning curve just to get people to invite them in. And we've seen that a lot in the Google Hangout days, just getting people to come in as a guest or so, or they were muted, or their camera wasn't on, or whatever it was. And there was just that little bit of a learning curve and the fear of trying something new, where you just had to encourage people and nurture people and get them familiar with it until, this is how I do it, boom, 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 and it's almost automatic.
So Martin says, my pleasure. Thanks for letting me be the designated driver.
or the designated adult.
Making some great comments. I'm just reading here. So the second one is, why wait? You're not getting any younger. That is absolutely true.
That is true.
So you can't really wait. You got to just do it. It's one of those things.
Do it now.
Just do it.
And if you think about
without any impingement whatsoever on Nike's trademark. Thank you. That's our disclaimer.
And if you think about it too, anything you do in the very beginning there's a degree of uncomfort. You know what I mean? So what alleviates that is, again, the more you do it, and and then you start to learn little intricacies, or and then you feel more comfortable the more you do it. I mean, people will look at me, and I'm pretty outgoing, but have there been times when I've been scared to go live? Well, I don't know if I think the beginning it was more scared. Then as time went on, I'd still get like, okay, how do I want to phrase this kind of information? And this is what I want to get across. I start thinking about those things, but there's still a little bit of always that, being on the edge. And I think John or something had mentioned the other day, like even professional people, before they go on stage, you'll hear a lot of them. I still get nervous and I still get butterflies and I still get whatever. I think that's like natural. But
there's a reason you practice before your performance when you're in a symphony, from personal experience, because you really don't want to be the one who screws up in a large performance where you are public and it's spread out everywhere. It's a lot different than going live on, say, a Facebook Live or YouTube or anything like that, because people are a lot more forgiving. If you are a professional musician or a professional actor or singer, they are less forgiving.
Yeah, there's a certain expectation for that level. Yeah.
Yeah.
The other thing too is I think you need to understand that, one, you are going to mess up at some point.
Oh yeah.
But then as you continue to just go on, you start to learn how to kind of recover, we'll call it, out of those mess ups. Sometimes you just have to laugh, and sometimes you just, correct yourself and then move on. Mm-hmm. And, you find out whatever works for you or for your audience or whatever, but just understand, you will make it through the other side. You will survive. You won't, you won't die all of a sudden. But, you are going to mess up, and it's okay. And just learn how to work through it, basically.
Yeah, Martin's got a lot of good comments over here.
I saw that one.
This is another good one. This is perfect. This is exactly what I've been saying, Martin. So, but I like the way you're putting it. Make being imperfect part of your brand, your style. Absolutely. I mean, no better time to do that than now. Not unprofessional, just not a perfectionist. Yeah. Exactly. People are just so caught up in this has got to be like they think it's got to be like a perfect television broadcast, or it's so not true. It's not even close.
Look at what's happened to the perfect television broadcast, where everybody is now doing this type of a format. Even major news organizations and late night shows and others are doing this way. So it actually takes away from your fear of being perfect to say all of these professional entertainers doing things this way.
Yeah. No.
Yeah, it's funny. It's interesting to see some of those setups that they're using.
Yeah.
Some of them, I think, hey, that's a pretty decent job for, me knowing kind of what technology they could be using or what they have access to and the expense that goes into it and stuff. But it's funny that some of the things I've seen, they have some people actually, whatever their setup is in their house is actually a pretty decent setup, because they're I'm talking about a guest on a show.
Yep.
And I've seen some where the actual host, I'm like, dude, spend $20 on a mic. I mean, they're using the real cheapo built-in thing, and I can't believe that the network is, again, because they're a more professional type scenario, that they're letting them broadcast like that. But for us, I mean, it's acceptable. I had the crap mic going on through this stuff earlier, right? And then I switched it, and there should be a difference. But hey, it can happen with me, and I'm fine with it. And people should just understand,
Chillax. And don't take a chillaxative. It's not doctor's orders.
I know.
Or you won't be chillaxing after a while.
You won't be chillaxing
when you mess up. Mail bombs arrive. What do you mean by that?
You don't know where I live.
Oh my gosh! Yeah, I guess
he has something about being pretty too. You're not getting any prettier. Did you see that one earlier?
Yeah, the masses have been okay with grainy Skype-like videos as long as we can see the jet airliner cartwheeling across the ocean surface.
Oh boy!
Oh man!
Martin's like our.
That's true.
Our what do they call it? The hype man, or the guy that's on the side that adds to
he's
whatever.
He's not a broadcaster. He's our sarcaster.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well. Maybe a little.
Not referring to SARS,
but no, it's true. It's we get caught up in all of this stuff. The message is the message, not about the technology. Yeah, that's very true. My new message is the message.
Didn't Marshall McLuhan say the media was the message?
Yeah. My message is you be you. Don't worry about anything else.
My message is sent by carrier pigeon.
Well,
the funny thing too is
okay.
I do agree that really, the message is the message, because if you think about a live stream, again, unless it's an intensive video type thing where you're having to show something like that, such as some sort of training type thing.
Yeah, a demo too, a demonstration video.
If it comes to, so in other words, what you're telling and what you're teaching, to me, if that's stripped down to just straight up audio, that's what's important to me. As long as I can hear what's going on, because like even on some live streams, I know they're not necessarily going to be showing something, or that I didn't really need to pay attention to, so I can have that open another tab. So I'm working and I'm just listening to it. Right. So it's really just more like a podcast, and to me, that's all that matters. So I mean, I don't care if you have a hand growing out of your forehead or whatever, and I wouldn't even care if I wasn't listening to it. If I was watching it, I still would just rather care, like, are you okay? I know what your topic's about, and are you going to give me what I want to know? You know what I mean? That's what I'm there for. So for me personally, I don't, that just stuff doesn't bother me. It's just really like, what are you providing as far as content and learning?
Right. I mean, that's really the key piece.
Where are we with our fears again? We had the imposter syndrome. As part of that was the fear of being embarrassed. We had, what are the other ones?
And then running out of what to say. We hit on that.
Like just now. We ran out of things to say.
And in fact, some in the so with Angela's post, Angela Langlot's in the live event marketers group. So hers was about that today, and so Jen from the group had posted. She said, "Sometimes I think I'll run out of topics," and then I responded to her and I said, "Thanks. I'm definitely still seeking some." Oh, sorry, that was her reply to me. Hello, Troy. Get with the program. Well, have you guys noticed? I know. Well, actually. Have you guys noticed what Facebook's been doing is, so you'll have the person post, you'll reply to them, and it'll put the reply above. And so
that's weird.
And it didn't used to do that. It was always right below. So that's what I did, is I just went right to the next one below. And that was her responding to mine that's above. Anyway, so here's what I said. I said to Jen, I said, I get what you're saying, that can also come from thinking at your level and above. So where you're at and above, meaning remember that there are things that that people are just starting out that they do not know. And there are also things that people that are on your level do not know, and may just mean need your angle or viewpoint. So I think when we kind of run out of things to say, is we're thinking kind of, again, above us, like, well, what else could I say to these people? When you also need to remember there's people that at your level that may not know your angle on it, and then people that don't know what you know yet, that again, so they don't know the material, let alone your angle. So I think it's about your focus, how you focus on it. And so, I mean, that, if nothing else, I think can help. If you think it that way, it can unlock maybe some more things to talk about, and how to cover it and everything.
Well, even the things that happen to you on a daily basis can be told within the context of some point that you're trying to make, or you can insert the point that you want to make about live video broadcasting within.
And it also depends on the time frame that you're trying to fill. So for example, we do about an hour, right? So that's one thing versus doing a live snippet, which you say you're going to go, well, max I want to go is 10 minutes. Well, heck, you take your point and topic that you're going to cover, and you can write down a few points, and whatever that's going to be, if that turns out to be your top 4, are good.
Yeah, take your top 4 fears, put them on a card, and just attach them to the screen, and just go through the 4 points.
Run down them quick.
Yeah.
This would have been a much shorter thing if I had just done that in the first place, but I got you two.
You got YouTube or YouTube or UBU tube.
We are restreaming to YouTube. Is that correct, John?
We are. Yes,
we are. I still have to find that. I couldn't find your channel.
YouTube, Periscope, and Twitch.
Look at that.
2 pages on Facebook.
Yeah, there was my Twitch.
It's something. Yeah. And I was surprised too.
We're simulcasting.
We are
simulcasting.
I said restreaming. I meant restream is a simulcaster. So anyway.
I would say multi-streaming
so we multi-streaming, simulcasting, live casting.
There are ways to talk about this subject.
There are many ways.
Or how about multi-simulcasting?
I
think that's in. But I remember when we would have to have 3 separate cameras to do that.
Oh yeah, people were using their iPads, their phones, and their cameras at the same time.
On Instagram, my phone is on YouTube, and my PC is on Facebook, and they would do like 3 different cameras.
I think the one thing that
the
one thing that concerns me with multicasting or multi-streaming or whatever you want to call it is tracking comments either on separate pages where you've shared the video or on separate platforms. Like, it would be great to answer somebody's YouTube comments, but we don't have our screens tied into there right now, or at least we don't have a window, and we're not going to switch back and forth trying to do that. I think that's a little more complicated when it comes to increasing your engagement.
If somebody commented on YouTube, I would see it.
Or you would see it. Okay. So it would come into this chat over here.
Mm-hmm. If anybody,
but we couldn't respond to it, though. We'd have to go to that platform to respond, right?
Well, you can respond to it live.
I just got a comment from Twitch. How's it going?
How's it going, Twitchy?
Hey, Twitch.
Hey, Twitch, son of a Twitch.
Yeah. So, yeah, you do get separate comments. So,
because I have not seen those, I guess you're the only one who gets to see them, or do we get to see
somebody?
Oh no, there's a bunch of them here.
Yeah.
It finally refreshed on my screen.
Yeah. So this one is coming. Here's another one coming from Twitch. How's
That's
it going?
Great.
Chris? You're our first Twitch commenter.
You are our first Twitch comment.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Very nice.
You guys from Twitch. Martin has snuck back.
He snuck back. Did he escape?
You guys want to know actually how blind that I'm flying right now?
Oh, that's good. Have someone else handle your questions. I think it's a great idea to have a moderator who can just bring them up in there. Yeah, but that's when you're getting more sophisticated. We are hardly sophisticated.
Exactly.
Well, you don't have to be. So
no, nobody expects sophistication from this crew.
We've been streaming now every day for 3 weeks. 3 weeks?
More than that.
More than that. More than 3 weeks now.
It has been more than 3 weeks daily.
We've been streaming for years, but
we've been streaming for years. Well, yeah, I mean, I stopped streaming for the longest time. I was just in the Google Hangout days.
I think though, real quick back to Martin's comment about having somebody help with your comments and stuff like that. I think that was a volunteer right there. Oh, he's going to volunteer with it.
Nice.
Great. Thanks, you
Martin.
so much, Martin. You've made our lives so much easier.
Hey, I have to tell you this really quick. So I've been flying blind for pretty much the whole stream. So what I did is I had the tab open that, we're going into StreamYard.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, I'm going to tear the tab off. And so I went and did that.
And it disappeared.
Although
behind the other window.
No, although Chrome shows it as still an existing tab.
It's an existing tab.
But I can't select it and actually see. So I've been just watching, or I've been just talking and listening, because that's more the live scenario, and then actually watching the slightly delayed actual stream. So
see, I wasn't paying attention.
That's professional.
Yeah, I reached a point where I wasn't paying attention to the actual streaming video, and I was just looking at the little green dot up here on my MacBook Pro, and I was actually going to look at a couple of things where they were very close to the actual green thing. And at one point, I made the mistake of opening up another tab, and it started a watch party for this. And I was like, oh my God, I was getting double the sound input. But I can tell you that if you just pay attention to the sound, it makes it so much easier than looking at your faces. Not that you have ugly faces, but I'm just saying. It does. I think you pay a lot more attention when you really don't have as much visual input.
You do.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely different. But I just thought it was funny because I'm like, I could have actually left the video or the stream and then come back, in with another browser. But I thought, you know what? This show must go on.
You're such a dedicated showman. I think, from now on, I'm just going to tell you to break a leg.
Or break something, right?
Or something.
Mm-hmm.
So, well, apparently today I broke the tab.
But you did not break the internet.
No.
That's what's important.
I'm still trying. Anyway.
It's good. I think we've pretty much exhausted this topic. But I'm sure there's 1,000,001 fears instead of just 4 fears.
Oh, yeah.
It's
subset of fears.
4 are the main ones.
We can add more fears. I still like fear of lack of engagement and fear of crickets.
Yeah. And that is common because for the first, at least a while, you're going to not see many comments or anything coming back at you for a bit.
And then eventually Martin will show up at your doorstep and make a comment.
Yeah, that's
guaranteed.
Cool. So final thoughts on this.
Well, my final thought really quick, though, is I was trying to look up and see if there was a fear of crickets that had a name.
Crickophobia. I got to find out the Greek word for cricket. That's the key, as opposed to grasshopper.
Anyway, there you go. Well, you could use grasshopper and just pretend. Most people won't look it up, but
snatch this pebble from my hand.
All right, last thoughts. I'll go first, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
So last thoughts is just get started. There's always going to be something that's going to want to stop you, whether perfection or fear of lack of engagement or fear of even people watching or whatever. Just kind of look at it as until you grow your audience. You're going to get most of your views on replay, but hey, just don't worry about it anyway, because it's kind of like you have to, dip your toe in the water a tad bit, then your foot, then your leg, and then get in waist deep. It's that kind of thing like that. Just keep going. Next thing you know, you're swimming, and it's not as scary as it seemed originally. So you just have to get going, and you just got to understand that it takes time to build your audience, and that's for everybody, unless you already have an audience that you're able to tap into. But either way, it could still be done. You will reach the other side of an audience if you continue to do it. And then the last point to that is being consistent. Try to pick a particular day and or time to where people can then plan on it and expect you to do it. Oh, the other thing that I would suggest too, that I'm trying to nudge John with is, hey, get me the link so I can post it in my different areas ahead of time, so it gets people to, again, brings a refresher to them, and then they can also mark if they're planning to attend or something like that. At least through the Facebook option, they're able to do that.
Plan ahead.
Whatever platform is, try to be consistent on a date and time, or both.
Very good. Dr. V?
Me. Rather than thinking about getting out of your comfort zone to go into live video, I like to say that you need to jump into your discomfort zone. And the reality is your videos are going to be terrible at the beginning. Guaranteed. You'll feel like you have to rehearse, that you have nothing to say, that you're afraid of embarrassment, and the whole host of things that we talked about before. But I like the approach of, instead of dipping your toe into the water and then maybe a little bit of your foot and others, I actually like the idea of just plunging right in, so that the cold water, you get the shock is over, and then you start feeling a lot more comfortable, like, oh, it really isn't that bad now that I'm here. And you can do that, for example, in the 30-day live video challenge within a small environment. So you're going to jump into the live video streaming world, but without necessarily reaching the entire world, just working with a group of very supportive and friendly people. And I think that takes the edge off of worrying that you're going to be drowning in the live video stream world.
If I could clarify then, because what Dr. V said is exactly what I meant, though. So what I mean by the toe, the foot, your leg, that kind of thing, is actually you gotta get into the water.
Take the plunge.
And so to me, one stream is like, okay, you dipped your toe in. The second stream is you got your foot in, but you're actually just getting in to do the video, plain and simple.
Right.
And so that's what I did. Like I said, hey, look, I'm just going to get in and do live streaming because I have a group for that. Right. So boom, sheets up again, patented signature. I mean, nothing was going to start until I had the patented signature sheet up. I mean, if there was going to be something to stop me, it was that.
What's the thread count?
So, actually, we don't disclose that because
you don't disclose it because it's part of the patent.
Yes, and it actually would put we don't want to have other sheet companies.
No copycat sheets.
Yeah. So anyway, so we were really on the same wavelength in that.
And the fear of embarrassment too. I mean, you're going to when you start putting yourself out, sheet or no sheet, you will find that there's invariably going to be a certain small percentage of people who are going to criticize you no matter what you do. You have to ignore those people, because if you don't, they will stop you in your tracks. I can't tell you the number of times when I would send out emails to patients, or I would do a social media post, and you'd have one person out of 1,000 who looked at it who would say something negative, and that idiot is the one that I would think about over and over and over again. You just have to shed it. It's like water off a duck's back. You just have to, I'm going to do this, and I don't care what people say. I'm going to give my message to the world. I'm going to help as many people as possible. And I'm doing it in a format that I'm not familiar with, but I'm okay with experimenting and trying something new.
Very cool.
John?
Yeah, I know. I'm thinking through my final thoughts here a little bit, but I think my biggest things as I've gone through this over the years is that the most important thing is you're going to run into things that you're afraid of doing, especially in this zone. You just have to kind of feel that fear, go through it, do it anyways. Best place to do it, try to get involved. Like I have that safe group where you can practice and test things out. And I did it because that was one of the things that I went through. And so I realized that was important. And then the final thing is, really spend time with the technology. Don't be afraid to experiment with it, because there's a lot of things that you need to just work your way through. It's going to take some time, but just stay present with it and work your way through it and keep testing new things, till you find something that you like, that works for you, that resonates with you, and then just kind of stick with that.
Yeah, but don't get married to the first platform you try.
Yeah.
Try all of them.
As Martin says, great points. The more you do it, the easier it gets.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like be able to laugh at yourself too, because like you're going to be a goof at some point, even if it's just a small flub up or something like that. But you have to look at it and go and laugh and just understand that other people have done it, will do it. They'll do the same thing as you, mess up, and we're all in the same boat, whatever. So,
well, and recovery is really important. If something goes wrong, keep going. I think that's one of the biggest things.
Yeah, Martin's exactly right. Just ask yourself, but did I die? What doesn't kill you?
Did I? Remember, I like Angela's comment, which is, remember, the camera is not a gun.
It is not a gun.
Yeah, actually, that is a good point. She did mention that in one of her live snippets.
And that just stuck in my head more than anything else about trademarks. The camera is not a gun.
So on that note,
bang bang. No.
Get practicing.
Stick them up.
We still got the live 30-day challenge that we're running. It's going to be going on through the month of May because it's been so popular in the month of April. We're going to keep it going. So
whenever you get started,
is that the 60-day live video?
Just think it's day one whenever you start.
It's day one
of 30.
On May 1st, we'll start a new 30 days.
So what do you do on the 31st?
Start again.
Okay.
Well, we skip a day actually, and then start again.
You skip it. You get a day off.
You get a day of rest. Yeah.
Rest before you start again. Hit it again hard.
Okay.
So.
Unless it happens to fall on the day that you have kind of designated as your streaming day. Then you're obligated.
Oh, your designated streaming day.
Right. Then you get
with Martin as your designated driver.
Yep.
And that's just a bit of sarcasm, everybody, just in case you're wondering.
I see.
That's cool. All right.
All right, we're good. I guess we'll be back tomorrow at 5 Eastern, 2 Pacific, 3 Mountain.
For happy hour.
And that's
for happy hour, the marketing happy hour.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, those central people, you come along too.
Hey, and Dr. B, what time is that in Alaska?
In Alaska, that will be 1 p.m. And in Hawaii, tune in at noon, Hawaiian time.
Awesome.
Hawaiian time. Nice. All right, then. See you tomorrow.
Bye.
See everybody.